location deep within cartoon land comes the defender of cartoonists everywhere. Fighting against laziness at every turn, he is our hero, Cartoon Guy.
That's right, I'm Cartoon Guy, and I fight against the evils of, I can't even say it, the evils of not caring about practicing. Yes, I know it's a frightening thought, but it does go on. And I do this with the help of my secret identity, my alter ego, TV cartoonist Bruce Blitz. Hi, I'm Bruce Blitz, and welcome to Cartooning with Blitz. You'll keep my secret, won't you? The Cartoon Guy and me are actually the same guy? Okay. Now, that's what we'll be doing today, comic book heroes. Now, we'll be creating our own comic book hero, not as good as Cartoon Guy, but a good one. And for our feature of the day, cell painting. You know, like animation art that you see in stores now, very popular, and it's a lot of fun to do, and we'll make one together. Now, for our doodle trick, the story of Bill, who lives on the hill. So let's get started, and let's draw our own cartoon hero. Now, normally at this step, I would be using a pencil, but I want you to see it at home, so I'm using a really thin felt tip pen. And I'm going to block off the top of the drawing and the bottom and about the center. Now you're going to see that they're not etched in stone. We may go a drop above or below. Okay, now right about here, this is going to be the bottom of his torso, and this triangle is going to represent his trunks from his superhero outfit. And right there is going to be his legs. Now we're going to divide this line and this line in half as well. And you guessed it, that's going to be his knee. Now down here is not going to be the bottom of his feet, that's going to be around his ankles. So, I'm going to block in his thigh and his calf. And as I said, this comes down to about his ankle. Same thing over here. And his calf. And his feet down there. Now we'll get back to that. Now let's move up here. Now, right up here we're going to put his head. And his head is not very large as you may think. And the smaller you make a superhero's head in relation to his body, the more massive he looks. Now that's what we're going to do for his head. Now we went a little bit above that line, but that's okay. Now we're going to draw his neck, actually like this. And this is why it's the pencil stage. And now we're going to make his chest. Now, how wide to make his chest? Well, one rule of thumb is to make it the same width plus a smidgen on either side of his head. So there's another head right there, and maybe a drop past that for his shoulder width. Same thing on this side. And this is his chest. All right, the key word here, folks, is landmarks. Landmarks tell you exactly where to put the next line. So whatever you have down, you use as landmarks, and that tells you relationships and proportions. All right, now, right above his waist, a little bit above, like there and there, will be where his elbows come. So his arms go like this, and his elbows make it to there, and our hands come to about mid-thigh. So, now we know, because of landmarks, where everything goes. Now, I'm going to thicken up a little bit. Flesh out. There's his forearm. Same thing on this side. And he's coming out pretty good. But that's why I'm penciling it, because if it doesn't, I can erase. Now, I can't erase for you now, but I'm going to make a clean drawing with one clean line. And his head. Now, his face, we're going to put in a line like that and just block out where his nose goes and his mouth. It's like a rectangular shape with points on the end. His lower lip and his eyes. Look at that. Two little dots make it. And some eyebrows and some strong cheek muscles and big jaw. And for his ears, well, you know what? We're going to give him like a helmet type thing, and these little gadgets on his ears are part of his superpowers. And that's the fun part about creating your own comic book hero, is you can get to create your own superpower and all that. Now, on this area right here in the shoulders, I'm going to make some lines like this, because this represents his cape, his super cape. Now, this is his pectoral muscles. And here's his deltoids. And you can go as crazy as you like when it comes to how many muscles you put in. There's all kinds of styles, and it's totally an individual choice. There's his rib cage. And right there, we'll put in his belt. And let's see, his hands, well, we're going to have a fist bent in this way and like that against the side. Same thing here. Okay. Now, all you need to know when it comes to the anatomy is enough to get by. And we're not doctors, we're cartoonists. Remember in Star Trek when Captain Kirk would always ask the doctor to do something and he would say, "I'm a doctor, Jim, not a magician"? Well, we're cartoonists, not doctors. Same thing. So let's go down to the bottom. As long as you have a working knowledge, you're cool. Now, right below that line is where his foot is going to be. Now, his foot is foreshortened. That's called foreshortening, where it comes out a little bit. You see his heel there, and there's the front of his foot. Now, he's wearing boots. Now, this one here, his foot is turned a little bit on the side like this. Now, see how this character differs from the usual bubble nose or what's called Bigfoot variety of cartooning? Okay, now we're going to put his cape in. And now you've got wrinkles to deal with. Now, with the body like this, when it's hugging the anatomy so tight, you don't have to worry about wrinkles because you're actually seeing the skin. But now we're talking about the cape. And have a little bit of folds here. So that's all we'll do for that. Okay, now, as I said, I would be using a pencil at that stage, and I'd erase it. Or I would go over it with ink and then erase the pencil lines, but it would get too messy. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of tracing paper, and I'm going to tape it down on top of this. And I'm going to trace one clean line. Let me see. I'm going to try to use this marker here. Might be a little too heavy of a point. Now, comic books are done in an assembly line. By that I mean they have an artist that does the penciling, and that's really the creation of the whole thing. Well, actually the creation is the writing, but then when it's given to the artist, he pencils it in and makes it into story form. Then it goes, have them, let's put him an emblem. How about E for emblem? Emblem man. He changes every week his powers. And after as I said, the penciler gets it, then the inker gets it, and the inker does what I'm doing right now. He can use a dip pen, he can use a brush, or he or she could use a marker. Now, a marker works fine. I like a marker because I'm getting this nice heavy line. And I'm going a little quicker than maybe a normal inker would do, but I want to get to the end. Now let's draw his face and his eyes and his gimmicks on his helmet. Now, as I said, when you create your own hero, you can create your own hero powers for him and create your own storyline. It's great fun. And let's go down here to his outfit. And this guy looks like he's ready for action. There you go. Now if you want, put these little lines here indicate shadowing, like on his trunks here, and his calves. A little detail for his knee. And his boots. Now, the color scheme. Well, let me see. I know, they put some shadow on him. And his cape. I gotta have a nice bold strokes with that. Oh, this arm here is not finished. And for lettering, they use markers these days. And for these strokes on the side, they might use a small brush or a small pen line. There you go. Let's finish up his cape. And there you have it. Let's put some lines like this, indicate that he is a superhero. And you know what? He came out real nice. And let's put some color in him. Okay, let's use some purple and some yellow and some red. First, the yellow for his uniform. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this off so we can see it on a clean piece of paper. There you go. And let's use a little bit of yellow for his outfit. See how that brings it to life a little bit? Now, I'm depending on you out there to keep my secret. You know, people are starting to get suspicious. You know, I've never seen Cartoon Guy and me in the same room and starting to ask questions. You know how that goes. And we don't want them to get suspicious, so I'm depending on you. And his hands. And let's see, for his boots and his mask and his belt, let's use a little purple on his cape. Oh, he's a great character. Now, this isn't ordinarily how it's done for comic books. They use a much different technique. But when you're creating your own comic book art, you can color it in with marker or color pencil like I'm doing now. And there he is, Emblem Guy. You take a look at Emblem Guy and I'll play a little superhero music. He could save the world with that music. Now, get a hold of a book on anatomy. That's a good way to practice and learn how to draw the human figure. As I said, you don't have to go crazy with that, but it's a good idea to get a good working knowledge of it. Now stay tuned for the feature of the day. All right, today's feature is going to be cell art. That's not cell, S-E-L-L, as in sell your artwork. This is cell, C-E-L, short for celluloid. Celluloid sheets were used, and still are, in animation. And they look like this. I'll show you one right now. And what they are plastic sheets that fit over a constant background and are painted on the reverse side. You see how that slides around? And these are photographed in succession to create the illusion of movement and animation. Now, the amount of drawings it takes to make even an 8-minute cartoon is in the many thousands, and for a feature-length film, like you see in the movies, in the millions. Now, even though there were millions of these things created, they're very rare and have become very expensive, and they're collectible. But you know what they're doing now? They're actually making them without the actual production cells, the ones that you see in your favorite cartoons. They're making them from scratch just as a piece of artwork and signing them the cartoonist in Hollywood, wherever the cartoons were made. Now, you can make your own. And that's what we're going to do today, and I'll show you just how you do that. And it all starts with an idea, because without an idea, there's no reason to pick up a pencil and draw, is there? So here's a background that I've created of a boat sitting in the water, and we're going to create a drawing of a fella fishing. Now these days, they use acetate sheets. They don't use celluloid sheets anymore, but it's still a clear sheet, and that's the main thing. Now I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to draw on this tracing paper a fella sitting in a boat, just like this, and his legs come up, and they come behind the back of the boat here. Now you see that line right there? That's called a match line in animation, and you see that a lot when they use the backgrounds that are there for all these drawings, and then you have a figure that might be behind a table or something like that, and you have to have that going behind. So it's got to match up so it looks like it's behind. Now, this is the pencil stage, and after you're happy with the drawing, you can move on. But I'm working rough here. Now, what you might want to do is make a lot of changes with an eraser, or you can just take another piece of tracing paper and lay it on top of this and make one clean line. But I've got one already finished, and I'll show you that one right now. And it looks like this. See how I've drawn this all in? And I've got a fish jumping up, and I've got his fishing rod in the water, and I'll lay that on top of this sketch of a boat. See how it all fits in there? Just like that. Now, you go to an art store and get a sheet. They come in tablets now of acetate sheets, and they look like this. About 9 by 12, all different sizes, and it's got a piece of tracing paper or tissue paper behind it. And what we're going to do is lay this on top of the pencil drawing, and I'm going to remove the background here and put the whole thing down. It's a good idea to tape down that pencil drawing so it doesn't slide around, and then take the acetate and lay it on top, just like that. And tape that down too. Now, the other thing you have to buy in an art store is a marker. And you have to get the kind of marker that's got the kind of ink that will stick to acetate and not smudge off. And there's all different kinds of inks you have to experiment. And I've got one with a nice chisel point like that, so I get a nice thick and thin line. All right, we're ready to go. We're going to trace this character. And with a little bit of hand pressure, I get a nice big line. I like that. And it's a good idea to have a nice bold line, because you'll see in a moment when we paint it, if you don't have a nice thick line, it's very tough to stay within those lines. Now you see the idea here. We draw the character, and you can change a little bit as you go, but with the match line, like down here, that's got to be precise. Otherwise it won't match up, and the character will be overlapping the boat, instead of the boat overlapping the character. Now you see how it goes, and for the sake of time, I'm going to bring one out all finished of that as well. Okay. Now I'm going to lay down the background one more time and show you with the character on top of it. First I'll put this down, and here's the inked in cell, just like this, and I'm going to lay this down right on top of the boat. Okay, just like that. Now you can see the character all fits in, and that's how it looks. Now we're going to paint the cell. I'm going to remove the background again, and I'm going to reverse this drawing, because we work on the other side. Now, go to the art store and get some acrylic paints, a water-based paint, not watercolors. Something comes out of a tube like this, and I've got some colors squirted out. And another thing is you need a brush. Now, brushes can be expensive, and you want to get a fairly decent brush. You don't want to get a plastic brush, and there's a lot of those around. And I found these for actually $2, $3, and they work fine. And they're actually sable hair brushes, and they'll last a long time, and that's the kind you want to use. So I'm going to paint in his shirt, and I'm going to use some red, or vermilion actually. This is like an orange red. Okay, now I'm going to put that color in there, and I'm going to blob it on, because it's very important that you have a real thick color, because if you don't, it's going to see through when you lay it on top of the background later on. I'll go back and get some more color. Now, in the old days, there's a story of Tex Avery. Tex Avery was called the king of cartoons, and he used to work at Warner Brothers with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. And in the 40s, I read once where he used to come home from work, from a day's work at Warner Brothers, and he had all the Bugs Bunny cells and Daffy Duck cells in the back seat of his car, and all the kids would crowd around his car when he pulled up and said, "Hey, do you have any Bugs Bunnies?" And he'd say, "Sure," and he'd give them out to the kids. Can you imagine? I wish I was one of those kids. Talk about collectibles. Now those cells go for a great deal of money, especially the ones used in the actual production. Now there you go. Now you see he's got his shirt all done, and you go back and you do all the colors like that, which I am not going to do right now. I'm going to bring out one that's already finished, and that will look like this right here. Now, I hope you're getting a sense, by the way, of how long it takes to do an animated cartoon. This is how it's done. They start on paper, then they go to the plastic, and then they ink it, and then they paint it. A lot of work. Now I'll get that background again. Now this is all dried, and put the background down, and we lay this right on top, and you see how it slides around. It's the all finished piece, and that match line works real nice right there. And there you have it. Now the next thing you want to do is get a hold of a mat or a frame, because look at what a mat or a frame does to enhance even a simple little drawing like that. And cells are so beautiful, they're vivid and they're shiny, and it's a piece of artwork that you could be proud of to hang on your wall. Or give it to family or friends, because I'll bet you that they would be very happy to have an original piece of artwork from you. Now stay tuned for Cartoon Doodle Tricks. All right, welcome to today's Doodle Tricks, and some friends stopped by. I'd like to welcome them too. Hi guys, how are you?
Fine.
Okay, good. Now, today's Doodle Tricks, we got a little bit of everything, right? So I'll draw something, and then you tell me what you think it is, all right? Who knows what that is?
Light bulbs.
Oh, light bulb, that's right. And who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison, very good. But you know what? If it wasn't for somebody else, the light bulb wouldn't light up. Do you know who discovered electricity, anybody?
Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin. Boy, what a smart group. Okay, and Benjamin Franklin also invented bifocals. Let's put them on his nose because we're drawing Ben. See that? Some squiggly lines and a smile for his hair. And here's his outfit. And this part right there is his ruffled shirt. What do you think? You like that?
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. And this time, I'm going to use this board, and I'd like to draw something. You tell me what you think this is. Who knows who that is?
A chef's hat.
A chef's hat. Very good. Okay. Now, some squiggly lines going out this way and this way. And let's see. This isn't making much sense yet, is it? I know. And who knows what these are? I have no idea. But you know what? If we turn this over, we've got the chef. But of course now we have to add another chef hat. Like that? Okay. Yeah. Let's do another one. Now this time, this is a story about a guy named Bill. And Bill lived up on the hill. And he never came down to walk through the town. I think he's living up there still. Now, he wasn't that old from what I was told. I think he was about 20. Now, as you can see, on his chin he had hair, but his head, it was bare. But when turned upside down, he had plenty. And that's all the time we have for today, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and you guys here. And for our tip today, may your refrigerator be covered with drawings. Right? That means you're practicing a lot, and it means that people are going to get to see it. That's for sure. I'm Bruce Blica. Thanks for being with me, and help me out, everybody.
Keep on cartooning!
There you go.